I want to cut across to Rahul Srivastava, our National Affairs Editor, who's joining us at this moment. Rahul, you know, the statement, the press conference of Akhilesh Yadav and the Samajwadi Party yesterday to now his latest tweet suggesting that the BJP is conspiring to rig the polls through EVM manipulation and tampering suggests two things. That A, these claims, these allegations are grave, and one, definitely the EC needs to look into them. The other one, that Akhilesh Yadav is clearly spooked by the exit poll results.
Yes, Preeti, every time somebody is losing an election, it's a common thing that there is a loser's rant or a losing fig leaf. The fact remains that we have had this for a very long time. It's also a fact it was a BJP which was the first one at one time to flag the fact that EVMs could be tampered, and it was illustrious leader Mr. G.V.L. Narasimha Rao who virtually wrote an entire book on it. After that, there have been claims by political parties. It's usually not the victor, barring I think only once I recall that when somebody winning against a very prominent leader in Tamil Nadu, the victor actually asked for a repoll, then lost the election and went out. The fact remains that it's always there. So should it be dismissed always as a loser's rant? Because eventually, I think Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. Now, in case there are so many charges constantly, I think the onus is on the Election Commission, because eventually the EVM is the custodian of the people's mandate. Now, if there are doubts, for example, let's take this case, Preeti. Now, in the Pahadia polling center, all the strong room, all the EVMs which have been, the votes have been stored, are being kept under the three-tier security with central paramilitary forces, others guarding them. There are also CCTVs with political party representatives can actually sit and watch that whether those EVMs are being used, being tempered or manhandled, mishandled, whatever. The fact remains, Preeti, that 2 truckloads of EVMs were being transported out is a matter of suspicion. Who knows what they were for? The Chief Election Officer of UP says they were meant for training, the second round of training for the personnel. But why cannot the CEO of a state in an election-bound state where stakes are so high inform all political parties prior to such transport of EVMs that we are transporting EVMs for a training exercise? You people can come and check it. It can be a more transparent process. But on the hindsight, you try to explain, I think political parties are bound to raise certain amount of noise. I think it's high time that the Election Commission steps in, gets the best of the hackers and the electronic brains in the world, sits down with the EVMs and proves that the EVMs are beyond tamper. I think this debate has gone on too long now in this country, which loves its democracy and loves the fact that we vote through EVMs while the best of the developed nations are voting through ballot paper.
You know, Rahul, as I bring in our other panelists, I want to ask you one question again. It's not that it hasn't been done. Let's go back, you know, in 2019 as well, there were charges that were made by the opposition, that 2014 as well, that there was EVM tampering. The Election Commission actually did call a press conference. They invited all political parties to come and try and hack the system. Nobody turned up to that press conference. I remember attending that press conference.
Preeti, I don't think political parties are the best of the judges or experts on the technology involved. I was watching a James Bond movie recently and I was surprised there is something called smart blood. James Bond was injected with something which actually through the blood they could track where he was moving. Technology has moved from the North Pole to the South Pole, and I think EVMs were the big boy and the big ticket change in Indian democracy 20, 30 years back. I think it is time, with repeated complaints by political parties. I think even an opposition, a losing opponent's complaints cannot be dismissed. This is what democracy is all about. If Ajmal Kasab attacked Indians in Bombay, he was given a fair trial. That's what the basic tenet of a democracy is. I think EVMs need to be proven beyond tempering. I think the time is not tomorrow, but today.
Well, all right, because this is something we've heard all the time. And this has happened on the eve of counting, viewers, where the primary perceived challenger to Yogi Adityanath, the Bharatiya Janata Party, Akhilesh Yadav from the Samajwadi Party, has made a very, very grave allegation. He says that there is a conspiracy on by the Bharatiya Janata Party to actually rig the election, to tamper with the EVMs. Many, including the Bharatiya Janata Party, says this is a case of sour grapes. He's clearly spooked because every exit poll consecutively has given a clean sweep to the Bharatiya Janata Party where Uttar Pradesh is concerned. To give you an example of India Today's Access My India exit poll, before I cut across to our guests, I want to take our viewers through what the numbers look like in terms of the vote percentage Uttar Pradesh. Let's get the numbers there. And this is what the BJP says is spooking Samajwadi Party and Akhilesh Yadav for him to make claims of EVM tampering, because it's a whopping 46% vote share for the Bharatiya Janata Party that has been predicted by India Today's Access My India exit polls. 36% to the Samajwadi Party, clearly not enough to form government or be anywhere close as per the exit polls. 12% only to the BSP, 3% to the Congress and 3% to others. So as per this exit poll, it predicts a clean sweep of the Bharatiya Janata Party where Uttar Pradesh polls are concerned. And this is what BJP is saying is spooking Akhilesh Yadav and Samajwadi Party. Let's cut across right now. Anila Singh from the Bharatiya Janata Party is joining me live. Appreciate you joining us. But Ms. Singh, the fact is there is credence to what my colleague Rahul Srivastav has just said. It's not something which has happened now. It's not something which has happened, yesterday. Nearly every election, there is a claim that there is tampering where EVM is concerned. Now, isn't it time that the EC actually takes onus, steps in, and once and for all makes it clear that whether these EVMs can be hacked in this day's technology or not?
My Ram Ram to everyone. And Preeti, I think Election Commission has made its stand very clear. And I was hearing you said that last time also when your opposition was saying, "Arey EVM mein gadbad ho gayi, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya." There was an open challenge that if somebody can tamper EVM machines, then come forward and do it. Even we want to see that how EVM machines can be tampered, because we know it very well that they cannot be. This is simply an excuse. पता नहीं कौन से आदिकाल जमाने की बात कर ये वहम जिसको बोला जाता है, वहम का कोई इलाज नहीं होता है. So this is what they are doing. They have got doubts, and these doubts erupt when you are so insecure. जब बीजेपी जीतती है तो ईवीएम में प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है. जब बीजेपी हारती है तो ईवीएम बिल्कुल फेयर होती है. I mean, what is this? The type of reaction Akhilesh Yadav ji and his allied partners gave yesterday, I mean, I can say this is shocking, but at the same time, I can appreciate one thing, that I can appreciate his mental condition, because he knows that Samajwadi Party is not coming in power. So perhaps because of after seeing exit polls and all, he is rattled, baffled, he is restless, and out of that frustration, I think he made those statements. ये जो ये लोग कर रहे हैं ना कि strong room के सामने पूरा एक n number of people and workers from Samajwadi Party and its allied partners, they are standing like चौकीदार. जैसे बैंक में होता है ना, लॉकर के ऊपर भी कुछ लोग ताला लगा देते हैं. Just for the mental security, I can say. So this is what Akhilesh Yadav ji's party and his allied partners are doing. I can say, let us wait for tomorrow. Let the results come out. He knows that Bharatiya Janata Party is going to form government again. But the beauty of democracy is कि आपको फिर 5 साल के बाद मौका मिलेगा. इस बार 4 महीने पहले मर्सिडीज के रथ में मत निकलिएगा. Do some groundwork.
All right, okay, let me pull in Sharad Pradhan, senior journalist. He's joining me right now from our Noida studio. Sharad Pradhan, the fact is, the allegation is the writings on the wall. Akhilesh Yadav is now trying to look for excuses to hang the court or, of his defeat on EVM tampering. He didn't make these noises earlier when he was fighting elections. He could have said that there is a problem with the EVMs. We should not look at EVMs this time. Why after the exit polls?
Well, raising questions on the EVMs is nothing new. And especially by the opposition, it has been done all along. And the first person to raise the loudest voice against EVMs was Mr. Lal Krishna Advani. Perhaps the BJP spokesman is not aware of that. And Mr. Lal Krishna Advani raised serious objections against it. Thereafter, GVL Narasimha Rao, who is now a Rajya Sabha MP from the BJP, wrote a book on how EVMs can be manipulated. Now to blame somebody, a particular party, I don't think it makes, every political party has a right to criticize. I think that here, what is more important is that the Election Commission needs to be not only impartial and fair and should also appear to be clean and honest. The problem arises when there is the action is not taken by the Election Commission on various issues. One has seen during this election when a number of very serious allegations, and not only allegations, one has seen how certain political leaders, particularly belonging to the ruling dispensation, have said things which go against the fundamental norms, fundamental issues of the code of conduct, but no action is taken by them. Even in Varanasi, where one has seen how, whatever, it has been clarified subsequently, but the commissioner of Varanasi went on record to admit that there has been some, the protocol has not been followed in carting the EVMs. There is a laid down protocol of how EVMs will be handled during an election. The unused ones or the ones used on trial runs, there is a laid down protocol. And when the commissioner is admitting that this has not been done, why is it that action has only been taken against ADMs? Now that arouses suspicion on the independence and autonomy of the Election Commission, which one has seen session. That was the benchmark laid once. People like Mr. Lindo followed it. There were other few commissioners, but on this particular Election Commission, there have been many occasions when it appears that it is not functioning independently and there is some kind of pressure.
Okay.
So that is what, it needs to be, to show more transparency than it has been showing. Then I think these objections would not make so much sense.
All right, so maybe the EC needs to step in, because this is possibly also not the first time. Like Sharad Pradhan said, that LK Advani had also spoken about the EVM. But once again, I'll say it, because the Election Commission did hold a press conference after 2019, an open invitation to anyone who could hack the system. I remember, being in that press conference. Yes, Sharad Pradhan, come.
But you remember, in that press conference, it was stated when people said that, okay, no, you can't touch the machine. So no, that again arouses, what is wrong with it? You should have allowed people to touch the machine, to fiddle with the machine and prove that it cannot be hacked. I am convinced that it cannot be hacked. I have spoken to a lot of senior officials, even to some of the former chief election commissioners, who have said there is no way that it can be hacked.
But Mr. Pradhan, even with Mr. Advani and GVL, both, they did admit that once the VVPATs came in, then it was a different story. They were convinced that EVMs cannot be manipulated after the VVPATs came in. But having said that, yes, there have been enough. There have been enough allegations that have been made. Let's remember 2017. 2017, if I'm not wrong, Mayawati, after the defeat, had come out and said that the BJP's manipulated EVMs, primarily so because how can the BJP win in seats with a high Muslim concentration? So it's a charge which is repeated every time. But also, viewers, it is a charge that is repeated where the losing party is concerned. The Samajwadi Party hasn't lost yet, but what we're showing you right now could very well suggest it could. These are the exit poll seat share numbers, and what is predicted here, viewers, with 288 to going up to 326 seats out of the 403 seats of Uttar Pradesh. It's a sweep which has been predicted for the Bharatiya Janata Party, with Samajwadi Party just about between 71 to 101. It's what has been predicted, just 3 to 9 seats for the BSP. The Congress just 1 to 3. So this is what it looks like, and many would suggest this is the very reason why today, on the eve of counting, Akhilesh Yadav has raised the, what many say, the bogey of EVM tampering. But having said that, should the EC actually look in? Because these are grave allegations, whichever side you look at it. But let's, I want to quickly turn around and give you the figures of India Today's Access My India polls, whether preferred chief ministerial face or candidate is concerned. And the most popular with a whopping 45% vote is Yogi Adityanath. Coming in second, who was the principal challenger, and it's not bad, 35% has been given to Akhilesh Yadav. He scores at 35% of people wanting him as a chief ministerial face, not quite far away from their vote share. Samajwadi Party is at 37% vote share. Mayawati, 12%. Ardent loyalists where Mayawati voters are concerned. 12% of Uttar Pradesh wants Mayawati to be the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh. And of course, Priyanka Gandhi with just about 1%. All right, viewers, so this is what it looks like. What will be the actual numbers? How will the cards fall in Uttar Pradesh? A bellwether, possibly, where the narrative towards the big gig of 2024 general election is concerned. The state of Uttar Pradesh, we'll only know tomorrow. We'll join you 6 a.m. onwards, right here on India Today. I thank all our guests. Thank you for joining us. But do join us tomorrow, 6 a.m. Goodbye.